Hello again, Florida travelers. If you're visiting Tampa, you probably have beaches, busch gardens, and maybe even a giant Cuban sandwich on your to-do list. But there is more to this city than those usual tourist spots. So today we're going to check out 5 maybe slightly overlooked places that deserve a spot on your itinerary. These are the kind of places that locals love but maybe don't always show up on those must-do lists, or might even get overlooked by locals who just kind of drive by these places all the time. All right, let's do it. Let's dive right in and explore 5 overlooked Tampa gems. For this first one, we're going to drive all the way down to the very end of Bayshore Boulevard, past some of the most expensive homes in the city, and along the second longest stretch of sidewalk in the United States. Yep, this sidewalk right here is 4.5 miles long, and it's a really popular spot for jogging and bicycling. And true story, I once saw Jim Carrey taking a walk out here. And down at the very end of this road, we are going to stop at Ballast Point Park. This scenic waterfront spot has a really interesting literary connection to some really early and really influential science fiction. Have you ever heard of the Jules Verne novel From the Earth to the Moon? Well, even if you've never read it, you've probably at least seen this classic image from the movie. In the book, the capsule they fired, From the Earth to the Moon, was launched from Tampa, and the location described as the launch site was roughly right around here. What I think is so cool about that is that this book was published way back in 1865, almost 100 years before the first manned space flight would launch from Cape Canaveral in 1961. And he picked the same state and almost even the same latitude, just the wrong coast. I think that's pretty cool. The guy was really onto something. But besides history and old sci-fi, this park has lots to do. The highlight is a 970-foot-long fishing pier that extends out into Tampa Bay. There's an artificial reef just off the pier too, which helps attract fish, and a bunch of boulders and rocks and other stuff in there that fish just love to hang out at. This is a nice spot for catching redfish, snook, and even sharks. I see people catching sharks here all the time, and you don't need a boat or you don't need to drive all the way down to the beach to do it. This really is probably one of the easier to reach places to do some saltwater fishing from a pier right here within the city of Tampa. But full disclosure here, this pier was damaged during Hurricane Milton in October of 2024, and as of the time that I'm recording this in mid-February 2025, it's currently closed while they are repairing it. So put a pin in this one and make sure to check back on its status before you do decide to come out here to do some fishing. If you're not into fishing, don't worry, there's a playground for the kids, a splash pad, and plenty of shady picnic spots. And if you get hungry, Leon's Lobster is a casual restaurant right next to the pier. Plus, the view of downtown from here is incredible. It's one of the best views of the bay and the city anywhere. A great spot for photography. And somehow this park is actually really popular with players of Pokemon Go. So if there's ever a Pokemon Go event, this place is actually packed with players trying to catch them all. So if that's something you're into, you might want to check this place out too. If you love exploring a city on foot, or bike, or even scooter, the Tampa Riverwalk is a great way to do it. It stretches about 2.6 miles along the Hillsborough River, and this scenic path connects some of Tampa's best attractions, restaurants, bars, and parks. I recommend starting at Armature Works. It's a massive food hall inside of a restored trolley barn, where you can grab anything from gourmet tacos to fresh sushi. Then as you make your way south, you'll pass by Curtis Hickson Waterfront Park, which hosts everything from outdoor yoga classes to live concerts and all kinds of different events out here. If you go long enough, at the very end, you'll hit the Florida Aquarium. It's one of the best aquariums in the country. And Sparkman Wharf. It's an open-air entertainment district with food stalls, beer gardens, live music, all built into old shipping containers. And don't forget to look at all the public art along the way. There are murals, sculptures, and interactive exhibits scattered all along the Riverwalk. For a really cool experience, you can hop on a pirate water taxi to get a whole different view of the city, or if you're feeling up to it, you can kayak and paddle along the river yourself. They even have these cool tiki hut bar boats you can rent. Either way, this is one of the best ways to explore Tampa, and it's completely free with lots of cool things to see and do along the way. Now, I do get that the Riverwalk may not be everybody's exact idea of a hidden gem or whatever, but it has been ranked as one of the best riverwalks in the entire country, and I really do think this is a great spot for visitors to come and get a great sense of the city while having a lot of stuff to see and do along the way. It's a great place for locals to take visitors too. I did a video recently where I explored every single inch of the Riverwalk, and I will link to that in the description so you can check that out if you want. If you're a history lover, this one is going to be for you. The Tampa Bay History Center, which opened in 2009, dives deep into the wild and fascinating history of Florida. I think this is a really great and really underrated museum, and I know it sits right here in this massive building right in the middle of downtown next to Amalie Arena, but honestly, I just don't hear enough people talking about this place, and I think it deserves a lot more love. This is a museum the city should be really proud of. One of the coolest exhibits, I think, is the Treasure Seekers exhibit, which tells the real stories of pirates, conquistadors, and shipwreck explorers who sailed through Florida's waters. You'll see authentic treasure chests, artifacts from actual pirate ships, and even interactive exhibits where you can steer a ship or load a cannon. Then there's the Map Library, home to one of the largest collections of historic Florida maps in the country. Some date back all the way to the 1500s and show you what people thought Florida looked like before anyone really got a chance to explore it. And you know what? They weren't as far off as you might think. If you're into more modern history, the museum also covers Tampa's cigar industry, its role in the Civil War, and even early tourism ads that try to convince people that Florida wasn't just swamps and alligators, which is, kind of true, kind of not. And a bonus, the museum is right on that Riverwalk, so you can pair this with a scenic stroll or a stop at a nearby restaurant. Next, we're going to stop right here at the Tampa Theatre. And technically, the Tampa Theatre is not hidden. It's been standing here since 1926, and it has that huge sign that's kind of iconic around here, but really way too many locals and visitors just skip it. Seriously, for such a well-known place as this is, it's hard to find many people who've ever actually been here, at least more than once. And that's a shame because this place is stunning. Imagine stepping into a movie palace where the ceiling looks like a starry night sky, the walls are lined with intricate Mediterranean-style architecture, and the whole place feels like a time machine back to Hollywood's golden age. That's Tampa Theatre. It's been named as one of the most beautiful theaters in the world. Yes, the world, and once you walk inside, you'll understand why. This place still shows some classic films, indie movies, and special events like concerts and stand-up comedy, and they even do ghost tours too, because of course they do. Let's be real, any place this old has got to have at least a ghost or two. So if you love movies, architecture, ghost tours, or just experiencing something really unique, make sure to add this to your list. It's easily one of the most magical places in Tampa and a really cool hidden gem. And right next door is The Hub, a classic dive bar, honestly an iconic Tampa dive bar. It's a Tampa institution, that place. Okay, let's wrap this up with a hidden gem for nature lovers. We're going to head over to Lettuce Lake Park. Now with a name like that, you might expect a tiny pond with some ducks, but nope. This place is a full-blown nature escape, and it's just 15 minutes from downtown Tampa and kind of right in the middle of town. Thousands of people are just driving right past the entrance to this place every day on their daily commute and have never been here and have no idea what they're missing. This is a great park, and it's really, really easy to visit. The biggest highlight here is the Boardwalk Trail, which winds through cypress swamps and oak hammocks alongside the Hillsborough River, and it gives you a chance to see tons of wildlife. This is a great spot for seeing birds, turtles, and yes, alligators. Lots of alligators in here because it's Florida. And I've even had some friends and family visiting from out of state who said, you know what, I want to see an alligator in the wild and not at a place like Gatorland. So I'm like, you know what, I got you, and I'll take them to Lettuce Lake Park, and we will almost always see gators out here. And there's a free, interactive, self-guided tour you can take. Just scan these QR codes you'll see around the park to download a free app that will tell you all about everything you see while you explore the park. There's also a really cool observation tower here where you can get a panoramic view of the river and surrounding wetlands at treetop level. And if you're into biking, there's a great paved trail that loops around the park. And if you really want to get up close with nature, you can rent a kayak or canoe and paddle along the Hillsborough River. Lettuce Lake is a place I love, and it's one of those places where you can kind of escape the city without actually leaving it. And this place is totally worth checking out. Well, there you have it. Those are 5 places that I think are a little bit overlooked in Tampa that deserve a visit. They deserve some love. Let me know if you've ever been to any of these places, if you plan to visit one of these places, and let me know if you have a hidden gem in Tampa you want to shout out. Maybe I'll include it in a future video. And if you love this kind of stuff, you want to learn about more fun Florida adventures from the theme parks to the state parks, please like, share, subscribe, maybe even check out our Patreon. It's a great way to support the channel directly, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.